My name is the Reverend Dr. Harriet G. Walden. I'm the mother of Hiram, Chikundi, Tundi, and Omari Salisbury. We've been in Seattle since 1975. I'm known for my children and also for my work in the community. And sometimes I say, oh, you know, my Hiram died. And people say, oh, I was there. And then other people who wasn't there, they always ask me, well, how did he die? I said, why don't you ask me how he lived? I don't ask people how they die. It's not part of my culture. I don't do that. But ask me how he lived, and I can tell you a lot of good stories about Hiram. So, I want people to know how he lived. That's how I want. That's Hiram. I want people to know how he lived, not how he died. Because his mother was with him when he was born, and I was with him when he died. Yeah. Oh, my former husband and I, we moved here from Santa Barbara, and I'm from Florida originally. Sanford, Florida is very famous these days, where Trayvon Martin got shot at in Seminole County. I grew up in an all-black township. It was called Goldsboro. It was segregated at one time. It was one of the oldest black townships in America. So, and all my teachers was African Americans, and they were all taught by the late great Mary McLeod Bethune. So I had excellent teachers who absolutely taught me to absolutely be comfortable in my skin and to be all right. Well, I left, to tell the truth, I left Florida because I was not, I was born into segregation, so segregation was the law of the land, but I didn't like black classism. I didn't like the way that, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I didn't like how, in those days, it was really, light-skinned people, dark-skinned people. And although my grandfather had a job on the railroad before I was born and stuff, we owned property, but I just didn't like that piece of it because segregation was all I knew. Hiram was the kind of person that he just would bring you home if you didn't have no place to go. You come on to my mama's house. And when I would walk up on Broadway, people walk up to me, oh, that's Hiram's mama. I mean, the word was out that, Hiram's mama was cool. So, a lot of young gay men would come up to me and say, you Hiram's mama. Because, they were just glad that they could see somebody who was loving and accepting of them. So I was very popular. So consequently, we had a plaque on our door in the 80s that said we accept all people, all sexual orientations, all races, all religions, and all people are welcome here. And that's what's on the front of my door. But Hiram, absolutely was, Hiram was an obedient child. I could take Hiram to the fabric store and have him to sit there in that place, and he would sit there. And people just wonder about that. He would never get up unless I called him. And absolutely, he was a wonderful big brother as his brothers grew, and he was so in love with his youngest brother, Omari, until I used to call him, that was his little man, and Hiram, he potty trained. If you get a lot of boys, you let one of the brothers do it. I had a lot of boys. So Hiram potty trained him and actually used to carry him around all the time. He really liked being in charge. He liked babysitting, or he liked taking care of people. And Hiram used to love to cook, and he would just make the Native American fry bread and just put all that jelly on it, and everybody liked that and stuff like that. So, but Hiram was really dependable. He always had a dependable streak in him, and that was always a good trait about him. Yeah. And Hiram lived his whole life as a gay man. Came out when he was in high school. He kicked a lot of butt. They talked about the day, I guess he was a black belt in taekwondo or something like that. And so, he just didn't take it. And he made life better for other people, and so by that piece, he established himself to be all right with himself. And every now and then he'd have to fight, but he kind of, one of the things, he left such a legacy at Garfield that none of his brothers ever had to fight because he just took care of business. He wasn't having it, He loved his brothers. He loved his brothers, and that was a constant, no matter what stage of life Hiram was in. He loved his brothers. And they loved him back. I mean, they had to work through their own stuff, I mean, I'm sure they did. But they're on the other side of it. And they recognized that he was a good person, Yeah. So he was a nurse's aide, and he took care of people. He did a lot of work for people who were sick, and like private duty work and stuff like that. And so he did work that kind of way and that kind of stuff. So he loved that. And then he used to work in some of the restaurants and things up on Capitol Hill, and stuff like that. So yeah, those are the kind of jobs that he really had. He did not go for advanced education. He could have, but he did not. Well, we didn't have a lot of understanding about it. And then, when people start talking about it, they always talk about it was, gay people disease and God was punishing gay people and that kind of stuff. And at that time, we hadn't known anybody to pass away. In this town, they were awful. It was no place friendly for them. There was no welcoming and affirming church in this town for Black gay men. Or, it was more pronounced for the men than it was for the lesbians, because there was only 2 letters then. It was G and L. It's not all the letters that you have today. But the Black church was awful. But now it has grown up some. Because really, they were shunned. I thought that AIDS at that time was the leprosy of our time, because people were shunned. But that's why Reverend Hall worked and started the Sojourner Truth Ministry, to be able to minister to men who were dying, or be able to funeralize them and have a place. And she started the church, and she said, God is love, and love is for everyone. There was no pastors doing their funerals. Reverend Hall did most of them. My understanding, a lot of the families wouldn't even take the ashes, at all. So a lot of the people died with no family with them, And the late 90s probably was the shift for him, when he really began to get sick. And I got a call that he was at the hospital. And I think he had been up there, and I didn't know it, and he hadn't let us know. And the HIPAA rules was in effect, but somebody gave me a call. And I went to see him. And Hiram was sick for I call it a semester of care. And from August 2004 to January 2005. So he never came home again from that day. He never came home again. So he was in and out facilities, out of the hospitals and stuff like that. So, but I never left his side. I was with him every day, every day. He did have an incident at the University Hospital. I've had one regret. When he was there, and the guy was changing his bed, the guy socked him because he didn't like gay people. And I was there. I guess I was just outside the room, because the guy was because I never left him. I never left him at all. And if I wasn't there, a family member was there. He was never alone. So that person socked him while I was in the hospital. I was waiting for him to clean it, to make Hiram's bed, and he socked him, see. Then from then on, if people was going to make his bed, then I stayed in the room. I didn't leave the room, yeah, so. He went back to the hospital the last time, and he says, the nurse said, "Oh, Hiram says he has a gift for you when he passes over." And I'm saying, "Passes over?" I said, "Hiram don't ever talk about dying." I said, "What is this guy talking about? It's a gift. We ain't got no big insurance policy, so what kind of gift we gonna give me?" So I went in there. I said, "Hiram." I sent him a telepathic message, and I said, "Hiram, sorry that you're not gonna be here when I'm 82 to give me a glass of water." I said, "But son, if you want to go on," I said, "I'll release you, and I'll let you go. You know how much I love my birthday." I said, "My birthday is January 4th. So Mama asked you if you're going to go before a birthday or to go the day after my birthday." So Hiram died the day after my birthday. I was with him when he took his last breath. I had the privilege of being with Hiram when he took his first breath and when he took his last breath. Yeah, I'd like to say happy birthday, Hiram. We love you. We know that you're a Scorpio, you're high maintenance, and you love to have your name called. So your name get called every day. I mean, he loves that. I mean, it's like he loves it. And the spirit of Hiram is free. So, yeah, I like to say that we call your name in some way every day. Somebody's talking about you in this town. That's the impression that you made. Somebody's always calling your name.